Okay, it looks live. Hi everybody, this is Rick here. Welcome to Digital Fortress. There we go. So I just had to let it spin up and get the link. So I got the title of video in there. We got the ISPPA testing goals, and there was an article that was a bit FUD oriented. Came out today, and a few people expressed concern over it, so I wanted to go over the article and explain a few technical details as to why the article is inaccurate. It's largely accurate, but there's some inaccuracies in there that are a bit sensationalized. And I just wanted to drop the link in the ISPPA Telegram channel, so if anybody there wanted to join, you can. And give people a few moments to come in the chat if you want to. All right, looks like it's running. All right. Okay, so just what I wanted to touch on, I had a few people asked me if I could give an update on YouTube. Gordy Boy asked me if I could do an update on this article that was put out from Crypto Briefing and also touched on by CryptoVisor. CryptoVisor has a very popular YouTube channel. I also had some other people, subscribers to my channel like Riley O'Flowen, asked me if I could give an update status on the testnet. Do the live updates, so I'll do that also. I'll do a live update on the testnet. I can do that more often as Virginia is now kind of on lockdown for the coronavirus. They've been taking more and more measures for the last month, starting about a month ago, and as the situation became more severe, Virginia came up with more lockdown requirements, okay, to protect people and reduce the risk. So I'm going to get into what I'm going over here, and if anybody has questions or comments in the chat, just let me know. So basically, what I'm doing this live stream for is to make sure people understand what are the goals of the ISPPA, the Interstake Pool Partnering Alliance, who's doing a more advanced test on the Cardano ITN. They are testing a fourth layer of the protocol that adds another layer to the current Poltercast. The current Poltercast has a couple of different techniques called the Cyclone Vicinity and another one where it selects the other nodes on which to communicate. And what the ISPPA is doing is they are evaluating the fourth layer where you can set up a preferred node. You can say this node is preferred. That way, and I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm in the United States and I know a trustable node, someone who's very reliable, operating out of Europe, a couple of nodes out of Europe, a couple of nodes out of Australia, a couple of nodes out of Asia, a couple of nodes out of Africa, a couple of nodes out of South America, and I can say, okay, definitely put all of these nodes in my list to maintain this broad level of communication over an extremely sparse geographic area. Now, what this test is doing or trying to determine is it will improve network performance. That's the point of the test the ISPPA is doing. Now, my nodes are not electronically in the ISPPA pools. However, I am part of the group, as in I want to see how well it goes. I want to see the results because it's a very important test. Okay. So the reason for this live stream is CryptoVisor did a YouTube video on an article that came out on Crypto Briefing. I'm going to do a screen share. And I'll show you what I mean real quick. Let me make sure I do this right. Okay, share that out. And I think I got the right one. I did get the right one. Okay. So here's the article in question. Now, CryptoVisor does a great job. He has an awesome YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, I got the tab open here. Check out CryptoVisor's YouTube channel. I hope to be as good as him someday when I grow up. He's got 9,320 subscribers, and he does a great job of summarizing all the news in crypto every day in Cardano, and he does a very nice broad spectrum. So great channel over there. And his channel is very popular, so whenever he went over this article that came out this morning, a lot of people noticed it, and a few people contacted me about it and said, hey, you know, this article, what's going on? Okay, so here's the problem with this article. All right, first of all, the title is sensationalized. This Cardano community is outraged by Cardano staking cartel in Shelly testnet. Well, that's a big pile of steaming horse shit. The Cardano community is not outraged by the Cardano staking cartel, okay? Whoever the author of this article is, their name's up here somewhere, Priyeshu Garg, sensationalized the article. So it's FUD. It's a FUD article. It has some facts in there, but it also has some flat out wrong statements in there. And you can't wrap incorrect statements in, you can't wrap it in facts and then still consider it a good article. Really, it degrades the entire article, and it degrades this alleged news organization, Crypto Briefing, if that's what they think they are. But anyway, the title is sensationalized, a bunch of horse crap. The Cardano community is not outraged. Are there a few people disappointed that they are not part of the ISPPA? Yes. Okay. But the ISPPA had to be selective about which pools they put in the ISPPA. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a pool that makes about 3 blocks per epoch or 3 blocks per day. And they would typically make 2.8 to 3.2 blocks. Well, I can't measure the difference between 2.8 and 3.2 blocks because it's still 3 blocks. So if you were to see a performance gain, you wouldn't notice it. But the ISPPA, there's a lot of smart people working on that, and there's a lot of people that I know, great community members, who've modified the code involved, and you can measure the difference. If you have a pool that makes on average 30 blocks, you can measure the difference between 28 blocks and 32 blocks, but you can't measure the difference between 2.8 and 3.2 blocks. So they had to set a threshold and say, if you have more than this number of blocks, we're going to put this together in ISPPA so that we can test the 4th layer and verify a network improvement. Okay, so this article is, I mean, the headline is sensationalized. There are some correct facts in here. Large number of staking pools performed ISPPA. ISPPA is very transparent. I've got a link to their website over on a couple tabs. I'll go over to that. A group of roughly 30 stake pools. That's correct. The group called the ISPPA was criticized by the Cardano community. Okay, that statement right there's a bunch of horse shit. They weren't criticized by the Cardano community. When you say Cardano community, that implies a majority of people. That's not correct. That's not correct. There may be a small few who are disappointed by not partaking in that part of the test. It's okay. It's perfectly normal. That's fine. But it's not the Cardano community. That's like 100,000 people, okay? There might be a couple people disappointed. On the key takeaways up here, group of stake pool formed, correct. Pool of operators produced around 12-13%, correct. Community fears such coordinated efforts could lead to centralization, incorrect. Not a good bullet, not a good interpretation. The community doesn't fear that, okay? A few people, again, might be disappointed. Bad choice of words, author of this article. Bad choice of words. All right, so the community again, so there's a bunch of points over here that are good to go. CryptoVisor went over them. If you want to see it, check out his video. He gives a nice presentation on that. But what I want to point out is another really poor statement wrapped with facts. And this is, it says, with 1,000 pools operating on the ITN, the group's dominance on the network practically excludes the majority of staking pools from creating blocks. Again, that statement is a steaming pile of horse shit. It is not true. It does not prevent anyone from making blocks. They just keep making blocks. It's just the people that were making blocks, they now know each other, and they got an efficiency going on. So everybody else that was making blocks is still making the same blocks this week that they made last week, which is 87% of the pools still working perfectly fine if only 12 or 13% are participating in the ISPPA. So it's still 87% of the block producing pools are still producing the same blocks this week that they made last week. So again, poor statement, poor choice of words. Let's see, there is yet to be a response from IOHK. Well, guess what? IOHK doesn't have to respond to that. And the IOHK engineers are involved. What do they have to respond to? There's nothing to respond to, okay? The IOHK engineers already said, yeah, we're testing the 4th layer. Good job, okay? So don't worry about this article, and don't be too concerned about how CryptoVisor presented that. He did cover the facts pretty well. It's just that there's some crap thrown in here with this article. Let's see, there was a couple other points in here that were not accurate. What the hell was it? Oh yeah, like this one. Until then, the Cardano community will remain divided over whether no, that's not accurate at all. Not bad, poor choice of words. So again, crypto news discredits itself by sensationalizing headlines and making a big deal out of nothing. And yes, there were some articles written on Reddit. That's fine. That's what Reddit is for. It's a good place to have a dialogue. It's where people can disagree and debate and all those cool things. But if you're going to use that as a reference in your article, then you're going to write horseshit articles. Okay. So there you go. Let's see. What else in here? Anyway, let's get on to the good stuff. Yeah, so there you go. And if anybody's got any questions, let me know in the chat. That's why I do live streams. But I don't have time to make videos every time some news article writes a dumb news article. And there you go. So here's the Interstate Pool Paying Agreements website. Very transparent. They have everything out there. They put it in the Stake Pool Best Practice channel where it belongs. That's where the information is needed. They explain the purpose of the testing and how they're going about the testing. Everything's explained right here. And the pools that are involved on building the fourth layer, the fourth level module. There's also over Clio.1, which is run by Marcus. He does a very clear explanation of how the fourth layer is going to work on top of Poltercast. So check that out at Clio.1, and he has some graphs and charts. And the good news is that the fourth layer is showing some network improvement. It is showing an improvement in the protocol. So that's a plus. And I'll give you an example. Like I go by Pool Tool over here on network health. Okay, so right now it's at about 94% again. Last week it was around 94, 94.5%. Earlier today it was up at 96%, 96.5%. And hold on, let me see if that was measured in another browser. Sometimes my Safari browser caches the data. But yeah, they're seeing measured performance improvements, which is a good thing. That was the whole point. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, Chrome's showing about the same thing. But yeah, so they're finding that there is a performance gain or potentially a performance gain, but the only way to measure it, like I said earlier, is you can't measure the difference between 2.9 and 3.2 blocks. You just can't measure that. It'll just be 3 blocks. But they can measure the difference in a node that averages 30 blocks. If it gets 28 blocks or 32 blocks, that can actually be measured. And we're getting really tight parameters on the testnet now, because it is super solid, super high performance. It's practically indestructible. It's performing extremely well. And what I mean by practically indestructible, it's so decentralized. There's so many different nodes out there operating that it's just a very solid, very resilient network. Okay, I guess that's what I meant by that. Not practically indestructible, but it's a pretty solid network. It performs stable. It runs extremely well. And now what they're trying to do is these really, really tight performance improvements. So we're trying to go from, say, 94.3%. I guess I'm done with that screen share right there. So, you know, trying to go from 94.3%, try to get to 95%, 96%, 97% performance. It's harder. It's really difficult to start slicing off small percentages once you get up to that high of a performance measurement. And the fourth layer is showing promise, and it does need to be tested correctly. It needs to be tested under the right conditions. And what that means is you can't have 1,000 pools jump in on that test, or you won't see the difference. You won't notice was there a performance gain or not, or at least it would be harder to measure. It would take a lot longer to measure. All right, so that's all I got on that. I just wanted to point that out. I didn't mean to start off like kind of raucous, but man, I tell you, these sensationalizing the headlines, it's just a bunch of crap. I mean, crypto's not going to have high credibility until people stop doing stuff like that, or until better news organizations pick up on it. So, doesn't look like there's any questions in the chat. That's all I got for you today. It was, I guess, kind of like a Rick rant. If you want an update status on the testnet, it's running extremely well. We're currently on Jormungandr 0.8.16 is the current version. It runs very solid, long period of time, stays at the tip or stays in sync really well. As long as you have your TCP/IP performance tuning set right, it stays on tip. You can tell, another way you can tell, well, I can screen share that again. I'll show you how you can tell how well the network is performing as a whole. You can, if you look on Pool Tool, let me do this. I'm gonna share my screen again over here. So if you look over here on Pool Tool at the front page, and you see the ADA per block right here, okay? The more blocks that are missed, this number will go up. And it used to go up to like 1.1K to 1.2K by the end of an epoch, because there were pools struggling to stay on the tip, stay at the leading edge of the blockchain to put the block in the chain. So this number was climbing up. Well, last epoch, I mean, when I looked at it earlier today, I think it was at like 870, which is a lot better. So instead of getting 1.1K per block for the blocks that were made, it was like 870K or ADA, 870 ADA per block, which means the network is performing better because all the blocks are getting made. And there's a couple of people like Homer's keeping track that the right number of blocks are being, the number of blocks per epoch is being made. Right now you can make 4,320 blocks per epoch, and we were down around 3,400, 3,500 blocks per epoch, and that number's starting to come up. So the network's doing a lot better. Okay. All right, so let me turn that screen share off there. So huge improvement on the testnet. I think it's going to remain on the Rust testnet for a while, even though earlier this month it was put out that the Rust code base was going to be end of life around March 31st, which is tomorrow. It was today. Yeah, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow's March 31st, which means they won't be adding new features. However, it will still be maintained. Now, the Rust code base works so well that it can run indefinitely, and I think that it will be running for at least a couple more weeks, even though the Haskell code bases 1.8.0, 1.9.1 were released in the last week, and there are people beginning testing with that, and it's showing promising, but it's not yet configured for the ITN. So you won't see Haskell on the ITN until the Haskell code is configured to run the ITN, but the operators are starting to get their feet wet dabbling in the Haskell code base. That way, whenever it comes up on ITN, they'll be ready for it, okay? So that's looking good. But the good thing is the Rust code base has bought us plenty of time because it's performing so well. I mean, it is running really good. It is not the be-all, end-all. However, we do have plenty of time to get the Haskell sorted out because the Rust one is working, okay? If you're time agnostic, if you don't care how long it takes, then you got plenty of time to sort it out. All right, so let's see. Falcon Eye Vision says, hi, Rick from Thailand. Welcome, Falcon Eye Vision. And Kelly Crypto says, thanks, Rick. Thank you, Kelly Crypto. I appreciate it. And Harry Ben says, interesting page. All right, Harry, glad to see you there. If there's no other questions, I'm going to punch out. This was just a quick update on that article to make sure it doesn't become more FUD, because there's trolls out there who might see that article that I referred to at the beginning of the video. For anybody that just dialed in, I'll go ahead and screen share that again real quick. Quick summary and punch out, and I'm done. Let's see here. There you go. Okay, that was the article I was referring to. And again, the title is sensationalized. It's crap. It is not outraged. Cardano community is not outraged. So what? No one cares. Couple people are disappointed. That's all it is. 5, maybe 10, a handful of people. And then these 3 bullets: group of stake, pool forum, yep. Pool operators, yep. Community fears, nope, wrong. Cardano community doesn't fear much. Cardano's been through a lot of shit. People have been through a lot of shit. They're not really afraid of anything. Okay, if you're still hanging with Cardano now after the last couple of years, then pretty tough. And then there were some crap statements in here. Oh, what was the other one? Now I remember what the other one was. With around 1,000 pools operating on the ITN, the group's dominance on network practically excludes majority of staking pools from creating blocks. That is absolutely not true at all. That is wrong. There was another one that said, hold on, I remember it now. It had to be about, okay, oh, here it is. While ISPPA said it has no plans to expand and was keeping the group only in the Shelley testnet, many wondered, who is this many? What do you mean many wondered? Again, bad writing. Bad writing skills. Go back to writing school or whatever. And many wondered what would stop the group from banding together more pools and eventually forming a coordinated attack on the network. Well, you can't. The protocol doesn't allow that. Okay? It's not EOS. Could you try to do a Sybil attack? Like if one person created many pools? Sure, but it wouldn't have any effect because the Haskell code base will have pledge, which will nullify that type of attack. I don't know what kind of attack you're talking about here, that if you made many pools among a group of many people, you could form a coordinated attack on network. Well, the way Cardano is designed, there is no attack that exists in that context. Sorry. Again, poor word choice. So go read some Ouroboros papers before you start writing articles like this if you want to have any credibility on it. So, and you can't do a 51% attack. It's the opposite. You can't make more pools to do a 51% attack. The only way that would work is that if one node had 51% of the stake assigned to that one node, then that node could possibly try to create a malicious block that has a fictitious transaction inserted into it and try to propagate it on the network. And that's the most you could do. But again, that's not what this article said. It's the opposite of what this article said. Okay, if a group of people band together and made a bunch of pools, yay, good job. You made a bunch of pools. Good for you. It will not affect the Cardano protocol. You can't attack the network by doing that. It's not EOS or whatever. Okay. All right, that's all I got for you. Oh, questions are over there now. Let's see. Hi, Rick. I did not sound too bad, but I have not looked into too deep. Is it confirmed a good thing? Yeah, the ISPPA is a good thing. I expect fools just make things up. Yep, that's right. That's what happens. Everyone wants to attack Cardano. Yeah, there's a lot of people who want to attack Cardano. That's what it's like. People with Cardano, you're still in Cardano today, you got pretty thick skin because you're used to it. Let's see. Falcon Eye Vision says, ITN Daedalus is starting faster, syncing faster, great improvement. I think we're getting everything fixed soon, if not already done. What do you think? Yes. Daedalus is much better. 2.3.1 is extremely good. There are still a very few people that still have a problem with it. However, the good thing is that it is much fewer. So the improvements continue. And again, that version of the wallet has the Jormungandr backend on it. I don't know if it's Rust or Haskell based, but it's definitely improved. And Harry Benz agrees with me. Yes, the ITN is performing a lot better nowadays. Okay. All right. So let's wrap it up for the day. I didn't mean to go on for this long, but I appreciate everyone dialing in, asking questions, and listen to me get a little bit raucous about this. But I do not have the time to dispel the FUD of every crummy news article that's out there. However, this one seemed to garner a little bit of attention, so I wanted to clarify the false statements in that article because those were like the basis for saying outraged. What am I doing? Am I still sharing my screen? Yeah, God. That's what happens when you get old, man. Dane Bramage sets in. All right, y'all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Punching out.